Welcome. Welcome to the Rick Willis Real Estate Show. Folks, we talk real estate here: buying, selling, investing, vacant land, commercial, residential, investment property, you name it. I've been in the real estate business for 5 decades, and you have the opportunity when you listen to this show to get the collective knowledge that I've gained in that length of time. Now, there's in the real estate business, if you're looking to buy or sell, you have knowledge that you're concerned about, and you also have skills that you're concerned about. When you're looking to buy real estate, you want somebody that understands financing. You want somebody that understands what to look for in a property. You want somebody that knows about home inspections and home inspectors. You want somebody that can properly advise you on the value of a property. You want somebody that can negotiate on your behalf. Long story short, if you're looking to buy, you want somebody very knowledgeable about real estate and also has the negotiating skills to help you get a good buy. You see, in all the time I've been in real estate, I know how important it is to have the right realtor representing you if you're looking to buy. You see, it's the difference between $5,000 or $10,000 or even $20,000, depending upon the price range property you're looking to buy. Please do not automatically work with somebody because you know them, a friend in the business, somebody you go to church with. You want to make sure that whoever you work with as a buyer's agent is very knowledgeable, skillful, and has done hundreds of transactions. You see, there's things that you can only learn by doing this business. You can't learn them in a classroom. You can't learn them by attending a seminar. You have to have been engaged in the trenches. That's how you learn the business. I got into the real estate business in the early 1970s. Yes, that would make me an old guy. Now, that being said, there's times and places when you want the very experienced person. When I go to my cardiologist, he's in his 70s, and he's been around the block for a while. And anytime I'm in the hands of a doctor or dentist or referred to one, I want to know how long they've been doing what they've been doing. And I have been known to say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do business with you for people that have not had the appropriate number of years doing what they've been doing. If it's my own money or my own body that I'm dealing with, I'm going to make sure I'm in the hands of somebody who's extremely experienced. And I would suggest you not sacrifice that. And folks, the same thing is true when you're selling your property. It's not just simply a matter of who gives you the highest price they can get for the property or who has the lowest real estate commission. When you're selling a property, you do want the expertise to tell you what to do to fix up your property or things you could do to make it more saleable. And you need to know when to spend $1 to get $2 back, or when not to spend $1 so you lose $2. It works both ways, folks. There's certain things you can do to enhance the saleability and get more money for your property. And there's other things you can spend money on that makes no difference at all. So you want to make sure you have somebody experienced looking at your property. I had a past client call me and bought a home from me 15 years ago. And they called me and said, Rick, we're going to be selling. We want you to come down and take a look at our property and give us some ideas. Well, I did that this week. And I said to the person, I said, can I be very candid with you? He said, yes. I said, can I be so candid I could offend you with what I'm about to tell you? He said, go for it. And I did. I told him that the property was very sloppy looking. The outside needed pressure washing, did not have a good appearance. I told him the inside was cluttered and it looked old. It needed freshening up. And those things do make a difference when you're selling a property. Now, that being said, I will list the property no matter what they do or don't do, but at least I've come clean with the person and told them what would enhance the saleability of the property. Same thing is true with the shrubs and the grass. It needed some TLC. Now, if you don't care about getting top dollar and you don't care about selling your property in a timely manner, then you ignore those things. But you see, when you sell a property, or if you're buying, you want to make sure you're working with a realtor who is not trying to please you per se, but trying to help you get a good buy or help you get your home sold and get top dollar for your property. So make sure, folks, when you hire a realtor, that you hire somebody with a lot of experience doing what you want them to do. Now, having said all that, for those of you that listen consistently to the show, you know that I always start off the show by talking to you about the number of active listings out there. And as of this morning, and we pre-record the show before the weekend, there were 5,247 active residential listings. Now, that number has been reasonably steady for the last number of months. So that means there's about the same number of people putting their properties on the market for sale as there are being sold. It's kind of a balanced market right now. Now, in my opinion, when the Federal Reserve does lower the interest rates the next time, which hopefully will be in the next 30 days, you're going to find that there's going to be more of a push out there for people to buy houses and a push for people that are refinancing. There's a lot of people that have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to drop. Now, that being said, I just pulled the trigger this morning on refinancing my personal residence. I would rather refinance it twice and make sure I got this lower little blip that we're in right now than wait for the big dip. If you're looking to buy, folks, prices are continuing to rise, and I'm going to suggest that you lock in the house you want at a price you want, and then let the interest rate be whatever it is. You can't control it. What you can control is buying a property and stop renting. Now, if you are in a house right now and you say, I'm not ready to sell it, well, you might want to consider going out there and buying something and renting the house that you now have. And if you have any interest in talking about that, you want to reach out to me and I can show you how you could probably rent your property and you could hire a property manager to manage it. And by the way, I'm a little prejudiced when it comes to property management. My wife, Charlene, does management. I'm involved in the sales end. She's involved in the management. But you could turn around and we could rent the property for you and you keep it and you could sell it at any time in the future. Now, there's multiple ways of unlocking your equity out of a property if you're also looking to buy. One way is to refinance the entire property. Another is to just get a HELOC, home equity line of credit on it. Now, there are other ways also. For example, there are lenders out there that if you saw a house that you liked, who would fund the purchase of a home that you like, and they would loan on a short-term basis against the equity in your property. And they would grant you anywhere from 6 months to a year to get your home sold and repay that respective short-term loan. So just know that you deserve to be in a house that you want. And if you're not in any house, buy something. Buy anything. And I mean that literally when I say that. Buy something you don't want so you can stop renting. You see, folks, you want to make sure you understand that A house is not just a place to live. It's going to end up being the best investment you've ever made in your life. Buy something today when you're young. Buy it with the understanding that you may retain it and convert it to a rental property, and then you go buy what you really want. Having said that, sometimes you buy something right now and you're going to sell it and buy what you want. But if you want to know more about that home buying process and getting pre-approved for a home loan, you want to make sure you reach out to me directly. Folks, please write down my phone number, Rick Willis, 843-327-3017, or email me, rick@rickwillis.com. Let's have a conversation about what you qualify for and what type of home you're looking to be in. I'd like to be the one to help you. Folks, I've done this a long time. You want an experienced agent, and there's no cost to work with somebody of my experience. Folks, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, Charleston. Well, folks, I don't normally promote my own listings when I'm on this show, but I've got a couple of properties that I want to make sure you're aware of because I think they're special opportunities. Now, how many of you have heard of something called Airbnb? Short-term rentals? Well, there's people that almost pay for their entire property with an Airbnb being a part of the property. I have 2 listings that I have right now in Somerville that are on some acreage. I have a single family home on 1.6 acres and a single family home on 2.6 acres. Now those respective properties are side by side. So together they're over 4 acres of land. Now here's the opportunity. You buy the house and you live in the house, and the zoning allows you to build another house on the property. And what happens is you build another house and you rent out the house, a small house, Airbnb. Now, one of these 2 houses that has the 1.6 acres already has a detached garage in the rear yard. And I've had a contractor look at it, and for less than $15,000, the detached garage could be converted to a residential living area. You just add a kitchen, you add a bathroom, you put some insulation and drywall and floor covering and ceiling in it, and you've got a livable unit for less than $15,000. Now, you spend a little bit of money and you take an existing home and you've added an income producing property to it. Now, if you have a mother-in-law, if you have adult kids or people that visit you often, you may choose not to rent it, but to have it available for family members. Having said that, you always have to look at real estate from an investment point of view. And it's hard to beat having 2 dwelling units on one property. Now, the other property I told you about has a larger home on it, and it's got more acreage. And you could very easily build a detached garage, have a workshop downstairs for you to play with, and put an apartment above. That would be a very wise thing to do, And again, what I want you to see is that your entire property theoretically could be paid for by having an accessory dwelling unit, is what they're called, added to your property. So these two properties are in Somerville, what I call close in Somerville, not out in the hinterlands. And they're an opportunity for you if you have horses, if you want some chickens. There's no restrictions on the zoning, so you can do what you want with the land. So if you have any interest in pursuing something like that, give me a call. Now, another opportunity with a listing. I have a property listed in a place called Utahville, which is out in the area around Lake Marion, and it's you go to Monk's Corner and you follow Highway 6 going up towards Santee, and you get to a place called Utahville. And I have an opportunity for somebody who is handy. A house can be purchased for $75,000. Now, of course, the house needs work because it's $75,000, but it's on 1.3 acres of land, and it's an opportunity to put anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 back into the house and have a very livable house that you either rent out as an investment property, or you use it yourself, or you rent it out Airbnb. Folks, if you're not familiar with these Airbnbs, these are short-term rentals, could be anywhere from 3 days to a week, and people pay very high prices for them. Now, when you get up around Lake Marion, Lake Moultrie, you have a lot of people that come up there just for the boating, come up there to get away, to go fishing, and it's not that far from Charleston, so people will go up there for the fishing and the getting away, but they also will take day trips into Charleston. So you want to look into something like that. And the same thing, by the way, in Somerville, when I talked about an accessory dwelling unit. You can take a small property, let's call it a tiny home, if you will, and have people stay there for 3 days to a week, and they'll come up there for the area that's called Somerville, just to be away from downtown Charleston, but make day trips into Charleston. So if you have any interest in any of those kind of properties, you reach out to me. And that very small house that I was telling you about in Utahville could be finished, and you could have a very nice, quote, brand new house for under $200,000. Yes, it's still possible to buy a house for under $200,000. Now, for those of you that listened to the show last week, what you'll discover is that I told a story about helping a young man. He actually worked for Scout Boats, I should say, and he bought a home with no cash. I represented him as his buyer's agent. We went out and found a property. We negotiated a successful offer that had the seller paying all the closing costs, and we got him a 0 down payment loan. He went to the closing table and got his $500 deposit refunded back to him. So those of you that are listening, don't let lack of cash be a reason that you don't buy. Buy something. Buy something cheap. Buy something that's farther out than you want. Buy something that might be a townhouse or condo, but buy something. And even if you don't live in it very long, live in it for a year and a day, turn around and rent it out, and then buy what you really want. But start looking at real estate instead of a 401k. Now, for those of you that have any money in a retirement account, I'm going to suggest to you that if I were sitting next to you with a calculator, I could show you whereby the owning of a rental property, the proper income producing real estate property, you'd be getting 3 times the rate of return that you're getting on your money in your 401k. Folks, you don't want to put money in a 401k for 20, 30, 40 years. It's like putting it in a safe where you don't have a key. You're missing out on opportunities. You're better off with your money in income producing real estate than you ever would be in the stock market, and it's far safer. So, my challenge to all of you listening is if you have any money in a retirement account, I could show you that it's worthwhile to pay a 10% penalty to get your money out of your account and go buy real estate with it. Now, please understand, they tell you when you put money in there that it's a tax savings. Well, folks, at some point in the future, you're going to take your money out of that 401k. And if it's not a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA, you're going to pay taxes at some point in the future. So the only thing you should be concerned about is paying a penalty. And you want to make sure voluntarily that you pay a penalty. You want to pay that 10% penalty to get your money out of there and buy some income producing property. You see, when you do decide to retire, what are you going to put your money in? I'm going to suggest to you the safest place and the most profitable place to have your money when you do retire is income producing real estate. And if you have a choice of owning that real estate when you're younger and it's cheaper, or waiting until you're older and it's more expensive, when do you think the right time to buy that real estate would be? You see, when you buy real estate when you're younger, you get to have the appreciation working in your favor. And at some point in the future, you can refinance that property, pull 100% of all the cash you put into it out, and still own that property. That's the magic of real estate. So you can recycle dollars when you own real estate. You buy the right kind of property, you or your property management company rents it out on your behalf. A certain number of years down the road, the property has appreciated enough in value. You refinance it and pull all the cash out that you invested in that property, and you buy another piece of property. But you don't have to come out of pocket with that money. You pulled it out from your original amount of money that you put into it. So please, folks, see me if you have any interest in buying any kind of real estate. I've done this for 50 plus years. I can show you how to make a lot of money. I can show you how to save a lot of money. I can show you how to build up your net worth and your income by utilizing real estate. Call me, folks, 843-327-3017, or email me, rick@rickwillis.com. Folks, there is no cost to any of my consultation. It would be crazy for you to go out and buy or sell with anybody without at least talking with me. You see, you want somebody experienced and knowledgeable, and I don't think you'll find anybody more experienced or knowledgeable in this town than the guy you're listening to right now. So I look forward to hearing from you. Text me, call me, email me, rick@rickwillis.com, 843-327-3017. I'll see you right back after the break. Welcome back. Welcome back to the third segment of today's Rick Willis Real Estate Show. Well, folks, almost every week I have someone call me that has heard the show and they want to pick my brain about something. I had someone meet with me this past week that said, Rick, my wife and I own about 4 different properties, and we'd like to talk with you about what the best thing to do with our properties are. I said, great, let's meet and let's talk about it. So we did. And we talked about their personal residence. We talked about a rental house that they have, and we talked about a couple of vacant parcels of land that they own. And I just wanted to summarize to you some of the things that we discussed because it might apply to you. Now, these are folks that are in their 70s and basically retired, and we're looking ideally for more income. And as it relates to their personal residence, I had a conversation with them about a reverse mortgage whereby it's possible to pull cash out of your house if you have equity in it and have no monthly payments for the rest of your life. Now, I've yet to meet the person that really understood a reverse mortgage. Most people have the false belief that a reverse mortgage, that when you pass away, you don't get the equity or you lose the house to the bank or the government. Well, neither is true. Reverse mortgage is simply that, reverse. The house pays you, and you can get a lump sum out of it, and you can even buy a house with a reverse mortgage. So theoretically, folks, you could go out and put several $100,000 down payment on a house, have no monthly payments of principal or interest for the rest of your life. Now, it's not a free ride. The interest accrues. But if you actually take a calculator out and do the math, what you'll discover is this, that the house is probably going up in value more than the unpaid interest is accruing. But you have another asset to work with. So those of you that have a house and could put a reverse mortgage on the house might be able to pull out several $100,000 cash, buy an investment property, pay cash, and then still live in your home, no monthly payment of principal or interest, but yet create $1,500 a month in income from assets that you're not using. Folks, any equity you have in your house, be it in an investment property or your residence, that's not being used and is dormant, you're losing money because you're not using the equity there. Whatever your house is going to appreciate, it's going to appreciate the same amount whether you have a mortgage or don't have a mortgage. Now, a reverse mortgage, you need to be at least 55 years old to be able to get a second mortgage on your property, and you have to be 62 or older to get a first mortgage on your property. But that was one option we discussed with these folks that came to see me. Another property that they had available was a property that had been a rental property and needed work to fix up in order to re-rent. And they talked about wanting to probably sell that respective property and get the cash and reinvest it somewhere else. Now, they also owned 2 other vacant land parcels. Now, I've learned a long time ago that you never want to hold vacant land as an investment. And the only exception to that is if it's right in the path of growth and it's going up at least a minimum of 10 to 20% a year in value. But when you have vacant land, you either subdivide it, you rezone it, or you build something on it. Those are the 3 ways you monetize vacant land. Now, these people owned 2 residential lots, and these residential lots were on the market for sale, and the opinion of one of the owners of the lots was, I don't have to sell it, we're going to wait till we can get our price. Now, my comments to this individual were, no, you want to do just the opposite. You want to find out what fair market value is today and you sell it and you accept fair market value for the house, for the property, because then you can convert the equity that's in your land to income. You never want to hold vacant land without having income. You got to pay taxes on it. Sometimes you got to mow the grass on it. The bottom line of the bottom line is any property that you own that is not your personal residence, you can sell and pay zero income tax on your gain if you do the proper planning through what is called an IRS 1031 exchange. So anybody listening that has any equity in property that's other than your personal residence, listen carefully. You can sell it and pay zero income tax. Now, technically, you are deferring the tax with a 1031 exchange, but you can defer it until you die, and then your estate inherits the property, and they don't have to pay any taxes on it. When you sell a property that you have a lot of equity in, under a 1031 exchange, you're signing an agreement that says, I'll sell the property, providing you sign a document, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, that at the time of closing, you acknowledge that we have an arm's length transaction and you're not a relative of mine buying it, in which case the money then goes to what is called an intermediary, usually an attorney in this state, and that money is held until you find what is called a replacement property. Now, in this particular case, with these people that came to see me, they had two separate vacant parcels where they could convert the vacant land into income. Folks, when you're retired or even if you're still working, if your goal is income, you want to make sure you convert anything that's not bringing in the right amount of income into income, and you can do so without paying taxes. Now, some of you have heard of paying recapture tax. If you've had a property that you've owned and you've been depreciating the property, if you sell it outright and don't reinvest the proceeds under a 1031 exchange, then you have to pay what is called a recapture tax on the depreciation that you've taken. But again, if you sell it under the terms of an IRS 1031 exchange and you buy replacement property of equal or greater value, you not only defer any capital gains tax, you also don't have to pay any recapture on your depreciation. And then you have a brand new property that you can start depreciating again. Folks, there's a lot of little angles to this business. I've been around the block for a while. I got my real estate license in the early 1970s. I've personally owned over 60 separate properties and 130 separate income-producing units. I can properly advise you. I've owned a couple mobile home parks, single-family, multifamily, commercial, office building, whatever you're looking to do in real estate. If you're looking to buy something, you want to make sure you reach out to me because I can help you. If you're looking to sell any kind of property, I can probably help you there also. You see, when you have the right kind of representation in the world of investment property, you always make money. So you want to make sure you understand that a real estate commission is paid by the seller. And if you're selling a property and you're reinvesting the proceeds, having the right real estate agent working with you, you're always making money. So, folks, I want you to reach out to me, call me, email me, text me. Let's meet, let's chat. Let me see how I can help you in the world of either your own primary residence, vacant land, commercial, or income-producing real estate. Now, folks, when I use the term income-producing real estate, I'm talking about from the day one you buy it, you can be making money. You don't have to buy property and wait for it to appreciate and then resell it. That's what people do that don't understand real estate. people that understand real estate only buy property where from the day one you buy it, you can be making money. And you make money in 4 different ways when you buy income producing real estate. You make money from the cash flow, meaning the income that exceeds your expenses. You make money by the tax savings, because when you own investment property, you get to what is called depreciate the improvement. That's a paper write-off that allows you to offset the income oftentimes that you're bringing in from the property with a paper loss called depreciation. And you also, if you have a mortgage on the property, you're making money on the principal pay down. So you can get a guaranteed 6 to 7% return on your money. Guaranteed. Yes, I said guaranteed, through a combination of tax savings and principal pay down. The part that's not guaranteed with real estate is the exact amount of net income and the appreciation. But for the last 75 years, the average appreciation of a single family home in America has been 4.8%. And in the state of South Carolina, for the last 50 years, the average appreciation has been 5%. So you're in the right location. People are moving here. They want to come to South Carolina. And that's something that's very important when you're buying real estate. If you don't have people relocating here, the area is not growing. We have companies relocating here. We have people retiring here. We have young people relocating here because of the climate and the job opportunities. So South Carolina is one of the hot spots in America. Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, and Florida have been the 5 hot areas over the last 3 to 5 years, and they'll probably continue to be. So you want to make sure, folks, that you're buying in the right area. And the right area could be downtown Charleston, could be in the suburbs, could be in a rural area, depending upon what you want to accomplish. Folks, there's 3 different ways you can buy no money down. So don't let cash get in the way of you owning real estate. Call me, text me, let's visit. By phone, webinar, online, or in person. Call me directly, Rick Willis, 843-327-3017, or email me, rick@rickwillis.com. I look forward to meeting with you and talking with you. Welcome back. Welcome back to the final segment of today's Rick Willis Real Estate Show. Well, folks, some of you know me from listening to me over the years, but a lot of you don't. I grew up in the state of Maryland, raised my family in the Ellicott City area, southwest of Baltimore. I personally grew up right outside of the University of Maryland, outside of D.C. I relocated here to the Low Country in 1998. I got into the real estate business in the 1970s in Maryland and got back to selling real estate down here in South Carolina in 2002. So I have been in the real estate business for a lot of years. Now, what that means to you is that I've seen it, done it. There's all kinds of different situations in the real estate business where you need somebody that has seen it and done it. It's kind of like the doctor that is treating somebody and then they discover something unexpected. Real estate is a business of unexpected things happening. I had a property not too long ago where we went under contract and the buyer was supposed to do the CL 100, which is a certificate required by some lenders to make sure there's no termite infestation or moisture damage on the property. Well, the report was done and there was extensive damage on the property. And the buyer, as per the contract, they had the choice of getting an inspection before they bought the house. They chose not to. So here they were with a home that they didn't know what to do with. It had a lot of items wrong with it. And I happened to say to the other agent, the buyer is not going to buy the house and he's not going to pay for all these repairs that are needed. So long story short, we negotiated and the seller ended up making all the repairs that were technically the obligation of the buyer. But that's where you want to have somebody that's experienced representing you. Folks, when you buy vacant land, I see too many people go out and buy vacant land, and they don't have an experienced vacant land realtor representing them. They buy the property with the understanding that they're going to subdivide it, and then they discover that the property doesn't have the right road frontage, or they didn't get an adequate perk test to discover what they needed to work with for the sewage for that property. Other people will buy vacant land and they discover after they have it that they can't do what they want to do with it because of the zoning. When you buy vacant land, there's a lot of little components that you have to be concerned about. Same thing is true, by the way, of any property you buy. There's all kinds of things that can be gotchas. Now, probably one of the biggest things that you need to be concerned about in buying property is making sure you have a good home inspection. And after you have an inspection, you want to have a contractor come out and take a look at all the respective items that were deficient. Now, when you have a home inspection done, oftentimes the realtor will ask the seller to make the repairs or fix things. I usually encourage the buyers that I'm representing to do it themselves, meaning to have their own inspection, but rather than getting the seller to repair them, get a contractor out to the property, get an estimate or a bid on what it'll take to fix it, and then at the time of closing, let the seller pay the contractor to do the work that you, the buyer, have selected the contractor. Now, those are little things that make a difference, but can add up to make a huge difference down the road. Folks, when you buy a home, you have many different choices of types of financing. If you don't put 20% down payment, you have what is called mortgage insurance. Well, did you know there's mortgage insurance that you can get rid of in a couple of years, and there's mortgage insurance that sticks with you for the life of the loan? You want to make sure that when you get a loan, now the typical mortgage person's not going to explain all this to you, but that's where your realtor comes in. You want to have that experienced realtor to make sure they're representing your proper interest. When it comes time to get insurance, I see too many buyers automatically go out to just one of the big companies and get insurance. You have what are called captured insurance agents, and you have independent insurance agents. An independent agent can go out and shop the market with a lot of different companies. When you work with a large company like a State Farm, Allstate, Nationwide, as an example, you're only getting their respective insurance programs. So again, having the right real estate agent representing you makes all the difference in the world. Financing, the condition of the property, etc. Now, the biggest difference that your buyer agent can make is helping you determine the right price that you should be offering for a property. Now, when I'm representing a buyer, we always go to the tax records and we check and see what they paid for the property and when they bought it. And we also check what the appreciation rate has been. We go and check comparable sales, other properties in the area that have sold, and sometimes I call up a friend of mine who's an appraiser and we discuss the value before even making an offer. Also, it's useful to have the agent, whoever's representing you, to have a private off-the-record call with the listing agent where they're asking questions such as, how motivated is this seller? Has the seller turned down any offers? If my buyer were to offer this price, what would the seller do? So these are questions that you have to have the right experienced agent representing you know and do on your behalf. So what am I really trying to say in wrapping up this show today? Having the right agent makes all the difference in the world. Now, folks, when you're selling a property, the real key to the sale of the property is making sure you're acting in a partnership together with the seller and you, the realtor. Now, you want to make sure you tell the realtor that you're talking with about marketing your home. Make sure you tell them, please do not tell me what I want to hear. Tell me what's needed to get this sold for top dollar, or tell me what's needed to get it sold in 30 days or whatever your time frame is. Folks, timing makes all the difference in the world. If you say, I'm not in any hurry to get the home sold, do you really mean you're not in any hurry? And I would say to you, why are you not in a hurry? If you're going to sell it, sell it. And the longer you have your home sitting on the market for sale, probably the lower you're going to get for it. Buyers tend to ask, why has this home been for sale for so long? Why hasn't it sold? And even though you have the ability to say, make me an offer, if it's not priced competitively, you don't even get showings. So step one in getting a property sold is you have to have it priced in a price point where you're going to get showings. And then after you get showings, the next step, of course, is to have an offer made on the property. Now, I always encourage any seller that I'm representing to encourage any offer. And one of the skills of this business is knowing how to negotiate an offer and a counter offer. Now, folks, I'm going to change gears with you for the couple minutes that I have remaining. And that is that I talked earlier in the day about using your 401k, your IRA, to buy real estate. What I didn't tell you that I forgot to tell you is that in lieu of cashing in your account, you can change your custodian of your 401k or your IRA to what is called a self-directed 401k or IRA. And that means that you can still buy real estate in the name of your retirement account, not incur any penalty. You're in full compliance with the IRS regulations, and your income from the property is accruing tax-free. Now, should you be so fortunate or so wise as to convert your traditional IRA or 401k to a Roth IRA or 401k, then what happens is the taxes are paid at the time of conversion. And then if you bought real estate with that, you reach the magic age of retirement, and now you're eligible to take the income from that respective asset tax-free. I want to make sure you're hearing this. It's possible to get tax-free income in retirement if you've got a retirement account that is a 401k Roth or a Roth IRA. So it might be wise right now up front to pay some taxes, convert your traditional account to a Roth account, buy some income property so that you're positioning yourself when you do retire to have some tax-free income. And folks, you never know what the tax brackets are going to be down the road. They're low right now by historical standards. At one point in time, they were as high as 70% on average for people earning over $100,000 a year. Folks, you want to make sure you always factor in the tax consequences of any decision that you make in real estate. You want to make sure you have a good CPA. You want to make sure you understand all of the income and expenses that you can deduct when you own real estate. You see, it's actually possible to treat real estate as a business where you can buy a truck or have other things that you go along with that you might normally think are not tax deductible if you treat it as a business. Now, you can either treat it as a business or treat it as an investment, and that's for you and your accountant and you and I to discuss when we meet how to best treat your business for tax purposes. Folks, I want you to reach out to me, and I want to make sure you and I have a private consultation. I do this show 1 hour a week. Some of you have listened many times. For others of you, you've never heard the show before. But I would say to you, what I know from having you listen to me is you know that I know the real estate business. And I promise you I can help you do something in this business that you're not aware of and that probably other real estate agents can't help you with. So I want you to reach out to me and let's set a time up when we can have a conversation by phone, online, or in person. Call me directly, Rick Willis, 843-327-3017, or email me, rick@rickwillis.com. Folks, please visit my website, rickwillis.com. Read my bio so you know my history, and I think you'll want to reach out to me and build up a personal relationship and a professional relationship with me. Folks, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you next time I talk to you.